It's time to talk about Dungeon Crawler Carl. I know some of you feel like I've been talking about it a lot lately, but trust me, I have barely scratched the surface. And now that I've finished reading all 8 books in the series so far, I am ready to talk about it in much more detail. Now, I'm going to do my best to avoid spoilers, but eventually I'm going to reach a point where there's some things I have to spoil at least a little bit. So let's start with a spoiler-free section. You've got to remember that I read all 8 books in this Doorstopper series in about 6 weeks. Now, I am a relatively fast reader, but even for me, that is very unusual. It's a lit RPG, which means that elements of gaming, video games, role-playing games factor into the plot. Things like leveling up skills and abilities, using magic items to increase your powers, and beating boss villains. I'm not a video gamer, but I had no problem with this, although I can understand how some readers might find it off-putting. For me, though, I got addicted. My wife keeps making fun of me for how fast I read through these books, but you and I both know that as soon as she gets around to reading the first one, she's going to be just as bad as me. I'm looking at the Facebook groups. I'm looking for merch. People are always asking me about the shirts I wear. These are called Roosevelts. If they ever do a Dungeon Crawler Carl selection, I'm going to be in trouble. So what's the book like, you might be asking? Well, tonally, it's kind of like a more cynical Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy combined with a kind of video game environment. But despite that cynicism, there's actually a lot of hope in this series. It's very funny, the world building is astonishing, and the characters are engaging. In fact, some of the least likely characters you could possibly imagine turn out to be heroes that you would follow into the depths. Granted, it's not for everyone, it's very violent, and there's a lot of language that you wouldn't want your cat repeating, but if you get past that, it's really, really good. Okay, we're about to get into some light spoilers, so you might want to scroll on. Actually, no, wait, don't scroll ahead. Just mute your phone and look away from the screen. The algorithm doesn't like it if you scroll past the video without watching the whole thing. Just do a brother a solid here, huh? But okay, last warning, if you don't want even the mildest of spoilers, it's time to look away.
Ah, man!
Look, this is your own fault. I told you to keep reading. This is a you problem. Okay, so what is the series actually about? Here's the short version. Here's what you would get in a movie trailer or from reading the back of the book. Our hero, Carl, is an average guy who gets caught up in a cataclysm when every structure on Earth is instantly demolished, destroyed, killing everybody inside. The destruction was caused by a syndicate of aliens who give the surviving humans a choice. They can either try to eke out an existence on the devastated surface of their planet, or they can descend into the World Dungeon and fight for their lives in the universe's most popular show, Dungeon Crawler World. Based on the title of the series, I think it's obvious what Carl chooses. The series is about Carl trying to survive the 18 floors of carnage that have been implanted beneath the surface of the Earth. But there's so much more to it than that. As you get deeper into this series, you start to learn things about the history of this universe, the politics between the different planets that are part of this syndicate. You meet characters from outside the dungeon. You meet people who were contestants in previous crawls, and all of it builds up a very complex, rich, and nuanced environment. It's the kind of world building that we've seen in things like Game of Thrones or Wizard of Oz. It is that complicated and that interesting. We meet monsters, we meet aliens, we meet other survivors. Some of them are allies, some of them are enemies, but all of them, to a character, are basically just trying to survive in a very cruel and sadistic system. The whole thing is controlled by an AI that is in charge of the crawl. We quickly learn that this AI has a very messed up sense of humor. Sometimes it feels like it's deliberately trying to screw Carl over. Other times it's like the AI is on Carl's side and trying to help him. Either way, it has a disturbing fixation on Carl's feet, and I would still trust it more than ChatGPT. The way Matt Denneman builds out his world is like a magic trick of writing. There's so much detail and backstory, and it's revealed to us as it becomes important to the plot, which makes it much more digestible. Now, I think the length of the books and the series in general, remember we're 8 books in so far, is one of the things that helps with building up this world so much. There's so much room to put in this detail and to stretch it out so that it doesn't feel like you're getting just an info dump at any given point. And frankly, you get so engaged that once the info does start coming to you, you're already begging for it. Then there's the characters. Carl starts out as your average, everyman wannabe hero. But the backstory thing applies to him too. He turns out to be the survivor of some pretty hefty trauma, which is the sort of thing that might be upsetting to some readers. But the pain of his past fuels him, and we watch as he grows into somebody who is fiercely loyal, devoted, and refuses to give up on anybody. He actually has kind of a Spider-Man complex. He will do whatever it takes to help the greatest number of people, no matter the cost to himself. The really great thing is that Carl becomes kind of a rallying point for the other crawlers. He inspires the other survivors to step up and to become heroes as well. And I'm not just talking about the ones in his inner circle, I'm talking about numbers in the thousands. And the rest of the characters are just as good. Now, here's a spoiler from very early in book 1, which, if you know anything at all about the series, you probably already know this part. Carl is accompanied through the dungeons with a cat named Princess Donut, who gains the ability to talk very early in the story. And it's the relationship between Carl and Donut that really makes the heart of the whole thing. Now, this isn't the kind of story where, okay, she's in a cat's body, but it's basically a human personality. No. Donut is definitely a cat. She has that sort of feline arrogance and self-absorption that every cat has, but just like Carl, she turns out to be so much more complex and layered than the surface would ever indicate. Now, that alone would make for an entertaining series, but Dungeon Crawler Carl goes beyond just entertaining to actually having something to say. Whether he does it intentionally or not, Dinneman layers in themes and messages about the injustices of the system. This is a book that expresses a deep distrust of large government and large economic systems as well. But unusually for books with that kind of message, Dinneman seems to have a very positive view of people. Individual people, especially the ones inspired by Carl, repeatedly stand up and choose time and time again to do the right thing and help other people. I don't know if Dinneman is intending a specific message, but if he is, I think that's it. People are basically good. Power is uncaring. Anyway, I've rambled on enough for now. I'll probably have other videos about different aspects of the series, but for now, this is what you need to know. The series is great. You should read it, and it's going to be very, very hard to wait for book 9. And in the meantime, if you're looking for something to read while you wait, you could try some of my books, things like the Little Stars trilogy or Opening Night of the Dead. Oh, they're absolutely nothing like the Carl books, but if everybody who liked Dungeon Crawler Carl bought some of my books, I would make a lot of money.